You'd be hard-pressed to find a college golf team that's off to a hotter start than the Colorado State Rams. Hi, everybody. I'm Jesse Kurtz here in the Mountain West Network studio, where it's my pleasure to head north to Fort Collins, Colorado, and bring in the new head coach of the Rams, Michael Wilson. Coach, it is great having you on. Welcome to the Mountain West.
Thanks, Jesse. Great to be here. Thanks for having us on the show.
Absolutely. Well, let's get right to it. You're a newbie in this conference. You're a newbie to the program. You took over just over a month ago, back in early August, after great success at Long Beach State. What about the Colorado State job made you want to make this move?
Well, I think first and foremost, you can win here. I think you've got everything you need to play at the highest level and build an elite team. I'd say there's great players. There's amazing resources here. The university wants to win. Joe Parker and his team here, have high expectations, and there's amazing resources. It's a golf city. There's amazing golf courses in this area. What the three previous coaches each did and built upon one another, I think is pretty impressive, starting with Mark Crabtree and then Jamie Bermel, who's at Kansas now, and Christian Newton these last 10 years. And you can see it just kind of continuing to go upward. I think we have everything we need to play at the highest level, and ultimately it just comes down to finding the right guys and guys that are hungry and wanting to compete and play and push themselves to see how good they can get.
Well, you had to hit the ground running and really get into a full sprint, knowing that you take over in early August and you're playing in early September. Curious, how has that transition been for you? And two, how did you gain the guys' trust so quickly?
Yeah, it's been a whirlwind. I was just laughing with my wife last night. It's been about I think a little over a month, and it feels like we've done so much in such a short amount of time. A coach's biggest supporter is their spouse, and so I'm lucky to have a great wife who's been extremely helpful during this process. And our son just started kindergarten back in Southern California, and once we were able to get moved over here, he started up over here, and so getting our family over has been a big part of that. And then just in terms of the team, just really connecting with each one of them. The day that it was announced, reach out to each guy. We have a Zoom call, but then had individual calls, and just trying to get to know them and their families and their past experiences in golf, trying to best help support them, building plans and systems that are going to help them ultimately get where they want to go with their goals.
Well, you have a championship pedigree. You won a national championship as a player in 2004 at Cal. So you're taking that winning mentality, now taking it to Fort Collins, and that's worked pretty well. You're 2 for 2 right now, are the Rams in tournaments. The team won the Gene Miranda Falcon Invite at the Air Force Academy by 25 strokes over second place Colorado. Connor Jones and Davis Bryant finishing 1-2 individually. Then the team follows that up with a win at the Rams Masters Invitational by 11 strokes over second place Cal State Fullerton. That's 2 wins by a combined 36 strokes. That is remarkable. What's behind your team playing so well in those 2 tournaments?
They're all really good players. Number one, there's a lot of depth within the lineup. So just beyond the 5 starters, there's great guys pushing from the back end of the lineup too that are really good and fully capable of competing in the starting 5 should it be their time and things get clicking. I'd say the biggest thing is our 2 seniors, their leadership. Davis Bryant, Connor Jones, who you mentioned, both Colorado guys, both a lot of pride in the state and in CSU, and wanting the program to be great and leaving it better than they found it. And I think that's so cool when you see that. And they want to beat each other really bad, but they also respect one another really, really well and come together. And, at the end of a tournament, they're giving each other big hugs. And, one guy, the first week, Connor beat Davis by a shot in the Gene Miranda. And afterwards, Davis gave him a big hug. It's like, hey, you got me, good job, but I'm going to get you in the next one. And sure enough, this last week, Davis edged him out. Davis finished second, Connor finished 5th. Didn't get the individual win, but they're pushing one another, and in doing so, it elevates everyone's play. Having 2 guys that are counting every single round, putting up good scores and pushing, everyone else to be great. And then Christoph Blair, who, shot a tournament low score, record 63 in the final round of the Ram Masters. He's pretty special and has a lot of ability in game. He's only a sophomore. Our Swede, Rasmus Helm, he's playing some really solid golf, and I think he still has some things to do, improve, but has been a guy who's put up some nice rounds for us. So it's exciting. I could see our, a few guys being staple guys, and a few guys, are going to be battling out for the last few spots. So I think that's always good when you have that depth.
Well, you mentioned the veterans that are on this team, played a lot of golf, played in some major championships when it comes to conference play. All 5 players who nearly won a Mountain West championship last spring, they were in it right until the end, are back this season. You mentioned some of those guys. The Mountain West champ being Connor Jones. He had a fantastic summer as well, winning the Colorado Golf Association match play and the CGA Amateur. What makes him a championship winning golfer?
He's just so competitive. He wants to win. He has high expectations, and I think that's a big one. Like he will hit a shot where some guys would be pleased, and he's like, that could have been a little bit better. And I think he's kind of hardwired like that, and he's always kind of thinking, how can I get an edge? How can I improve? How can I learn? He's coachable, and he's also very driven. So I think those are great traits I think you see in any high performer. And he doesn't like losing, and he plays to win.
Because you have a leader, many leaders like that do push each other, that expect high things. You mentioned the facilities, and you mentioned this program can win. With this roster, with the facilities, with your energy and your championship background, how far can this team go this year?
Yeah, I think we can go pretty far. I don't want to put a label on it, but I think, like, just with each of these last 2 tournaments, it's always coming back to, what's the next event? What are we doing today? And I know it's so cliche, right? But really just focusing on what we can do each day and stacking those days upon, further days, and then kind of like with a scorecard or a round of golf, one shot at a time, and add them up at the end, and we'll see what it looks like at the end of the year. But really the sky's the limit. There's a lot of depth and a lot of ability, but easy to get ahead of yourself thinking about what's going on in May, early June. But we're gonna certainly be pushing ourselves to have the best possible year that we can have.
Well, as we mentioned, you're 2 for 2 when it comes to wins in the fall. You have 2 more tournaments before you kind of shut things down before the spring opens up play in 2023. The 2 events that you'll play in this fall still to come, one hosted by the University of Denver at TPC Colorado, and the other hosted by St. Mary's at Poppy Hills in Pebble Beach. What do you hope to see out of this group in the fall to make sure they are prepared to make a run in the spring?
Just keep doing what we're doing each day. Keep preparing. We had individual meetings the last, yesterday, and then today we'll have some as well with the remaining guys, and just kind of looking at stats and looking at areas for improvement, and also recognizing some things they did really well. That's important, and figuring out kind of everyone's plan before this next one. TPC Colorado, you mentioned, it's right up the road. It's one of our home courses, and so it's almost like having 2 back-to-back home tournaments essentially between Fort Collins and TPC Colorado. So we'll get some rounds out there and get some good reps, and then Poppy Hills, that's where I grew up, on the Monterey Peninsula. That was our home course in high school, so it's fun to be able to go back to that and see that golf course that I know well. And so try to coach the boys up as best we can to be best prepared to play that one. But if you have a good fall, it certainly gives you confidence going into the spring, and we're off to a good start, certainly. So excited for what's next.
Well, Michael, congrats to you. Welcome to the Mountain West. Great to meet you, and congrats to the team on the great start to the fall. Good luck the rest of the way, and we'll see you in Tucson for the Mountain West Championship in April.
Thanks, Jesse. Really appreciate having us on.
That's Michael Wilson, the new head men's golf coach at Colorado State University. From the Mountain West Network studio, I'm Jesse Kurtz.